What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live, which is also serving as a Blazers Uprise post-game show. Eric has a big old cutout of Sean's. I was not expecting that.
I meant to pull this out last stream, but I forgot. Got
Nice,
these over
nice.
here.
I make the stream go live and I just see Sean staring at me. I'm gonna plug in my light here because I completely forgot to do that. It would be good to have some lighting in here. Anyway, welcome to the off season. This is our first stream of the off season, our first episode of Blazers Uprise Live. But yeah, I did the post game thumbnail because obviously we timed the stream to go live right after this game between the Pelicans and the Spurs, and the Pelicans take care of business. We're gonna talk about what that means for the Portland Trail Blazers. They win 113-103. Eric, how are you feeling about the Pelicans winning this first playing game?
Well, I mean, I don't want to completely lose it because, I mean, things could be fine on Friday, but the fact that we have to sit here for 2 days and the whole fate of our franchise is dependent on the Pelicans losing on Friday is just absolutely ridiculous. And, I mean, Cronin should be gone just because of the position that he risked putting us in. And, the fact that we don't even get, like, they could possibly either make the playoffs or they could still lose on Friday and we could still not get that pick if they got lucky in the lottery. So it's not even over after Friday either. So just the terrible negotiation in these trades could possibly doom the franchise, and it's just frustrating that we have to sit here and hope for root against CJ to be terrible and the Pelicans to lose because they're a freaking good team when they have it all rolling. And it was tough watching that first half, watching them just dominate the Spurs, realizing that we gave them basically a franchise player and that is like the face of the town now, and they love him in New Orleans, and he's like living in the moment and stepping up his game and stuff, and we just basically handed it to them for no reason. I don't know. It's just stupid.
Yeah, so I'm absolutely down to argue CJ McCollum narratives a little later in the stream. It's a situation in which New Orleans potentially got a legitimate star, and that's one of the narratives that I argued for so freaking long with Blazer fans, Eric. CJ McCollum, just because he hadn't made an all-star game, is a legitimate star. Wait, you know who has made an all-star game? DeJounte Murray. And DeJounte Murray's a pretty good player. Like, I like DeJounte Murray. I was arguing for his case earlier in this game. DeJounte Murray tonight, 5 for 19 from the field. He had 9 rebounds, 5 assists. CJ McCollum had 27 in the first freaking half. Finished with 32 points on 12 for 23 shooting, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and his team won the game. Okay? CJ McCollum is a better player than DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray's made an all-star game. He made an all-star game this year. CJ McCollum has never made an all-star game. That doesn't freaking matter, because to anybody with eyes, CJ McCollum, as the lead guard, is a star-caliber player. And Joe Cronin should have negotiated this trade from that standpoint. And if it was a situation in which, I mean, New Orleans wanted him. He wanted to be in New Orleans. As a small market, especially the New Orleans Pelicans, how many opportunities do you get where you can get a legitimate star who also wants to be there and is a great leader? Those opportunities come few and far between, especially a legitimate star at the position you need with the type of game that you need. Okay, he's a perfect fit for them, and we said it at the time, right? So I don't care that, the Blazers needed to trade him, yada yada. The Blazers had a ton of leverage in the CJ McCollum trade, and we can see that, they should have been able to negotiate from a place of leverage by just seeing what CJ McCollum's done. It's like, he's played phenomenal for them. But it's not surprising, because this is exactly what CJ McCollum did in Portland when the Blazers were missing Damian Lillard. So it's a situation in which they potentially got a guy like that for a high-end role player and what is likely to be a pick lower than 25, right? Late 20s, 3 years from now. Because if they win on Friday, the Blazers will have traded CJ McCollum, and not just CJ McCollum, also another high-end role player in Larry Nance Jr., for Josh Hart and a 2025 Milwaukee first. That is an absolute fleecing if that's the case. And it's just a terrible negotiating job from Joe Cronin. That is a legitimate possibility right now. So, I mean, and here's the thing. New Orleans could make the playoffs and still have a top 4 pick because they own the Lakers' unprotected 2022 first, which is currently 8th best in terms of lottery odds. So it's a situation in which somehow David Griffin lucked out and potentially saved his job because the Blazers, I mean, if the Pelicans win on Friday, the Blazers will have traded a legitimate star and a high-end role player for a high-end role player and a late first-round pick 3 years from now. It's not looking like a good trade. The only thing that can save this trade and make it, it's an okay trade is if we get this freaking pick. And the fact that it comes down to this, especially when the Pelicans own the Lakers unprotected first this year, which could be 8th to them, and we couldn't figure out a way to mitigate risk by saying, okay, if your pick, New Orleans, ends up in the playoffs, then you owe us the Lakers pick if it's not top 4. The fact that Joe Cronin couldn't at least negotiate that or negotiate us getting better picks if we didn't get this Pelicans pick, the fact that we get absolutely screwed into just getting a 2025 Milwaukee first if we don't get this Pelicans pick is an absolute misnegotiation on his part, and I'm still willing to give him a chance this offseason, but you have to wonder, a new guy on the scene, a nice guy, you have to wonder if he doesn't have what it takes from a negotiating standpoint because this is looking like 2 deals in which he got out-negotiated.
Yeah, funny how they're playing each other, too.
Yep. So maybe, hopefully, Norman Powell comes through for the Clippers, man. I mean, just a frustrating position to be in. It was a frustrating deadline. If we don't get this pick, the deadline was an F. Plain and simple.
Yep. And, I mean, the Pelicans owned several firsts in the future, including a Lakers first and several Milwaukee firsts that were unprotected. It wouldn't have meant like anything at all to give us that Milwaukee pick unprotected, but he even got out negotiated into letting the Pelicans keep that pick if it's top 4. So even if like Giannis was hurt and let's say Chris Middleton's not on their team and Drew Holiday will be in his mid-30s by that year, I think. So they might, even if they had a year like we had this year, we still might not get that pick because they could, somehow get lucky and fall into the lottery or whatever. But we couldn't even get that pick unprotected, which would have had a little more value in a trade, if it wasn't protected the way it was. Because it's only protected for 1 year, and then it turns into a second-round pick that year. So it's like nothing. So it's just ridiculous. And I mean, we've said it ever since the trade was announced. We didn't get any of their good young players. They had 3 rookies this year that contributed. And that's the other thing that helped save Griffin's job is finding guys like Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado in the second round. And that also proves that you can find guys at any point in the draft that can help you in your rotation as soon as year 1. So I don't want to hear any of those people say that, oh, you can't draft any players because that won't help Dame or whatever. Like, they absolutely can help Dame if they pick the right players.
Yep. And
that's on Cronin to do. And unfortunately, we don't really know anything about how he's going to be in the draft. And that's another scary part is he could totally mess that up even if we do get the picks. So, it's frustrating that we're in this position. And once again, I know we might still find a way out of it if they lose or whatever. And
yeah, if we find a way out of it, then like if the Clippers beat the Pelicans on Friday, then that will be our positive play in post-game stream where we'll sit there and be like, oh, yeah, we got the pick. Now we can look at drafting this person. Obviously, it can't go into the top 4, but there would be more than a 90% chance of that not happening. So we'd be sitting there talking positively. But if it's going to be a negative stream if they win.
But
right?
like I said,
at this point, just the position that we're in where it's like it comes down to that, and if they win, we get absolutely screwed in this trade is just ridiculous because you had all the leverage. You had the dude who's a legitimate star talent, and anybody that argues that he's not a star talent apparently didn't watch the freaking game tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, I mean, this is for me, it always goes back to it still matters what the value is at the time of the trade. And yes, getting a lottery pick for CJ McCollum, if that's what happens, will turn out to be somewhat fair value, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't necessarily get that, and that's the problem. Like, getting the 12th pick or whatever, 11th pick for CJ, if we traded him for the 11th pick last offseason, we'd probably been like, okay, right, that's fine. I don't know if people would
I
have
would have
thought
been a
that
little
was
bit mad because he has more value than that, but
right. But I'm saying, like, at least we got the pick. We knew we got a late lottery pick for him. There were rumors that we were offered a top 3 pick or something, like top 4 pick or whatever it was, which is just ridiculous. But but like getting just the 11th pick, or let's say we got the 14th pick from Golden State or something like that last year, that would have been, at least we would have for sure gotten a lottery pick for CJ. But the fact that we don't even know sitting here now a game after the season if we even got a lottery pick for CJ, or we even get like a decent first round pick for him, or like we just basically got Josh Hart, like that's a bad trade. I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care if it ends up conveying. I don't care if they lose on Friday. That's not the point. The point is that you factored in no contingencies, and there's still a possibility right now that the Pelicans could end up with a pick anywhere from 1 to 10 with the Lakers pick,
Yep.
and still keep it.
Yep.
And then there's a possibility that they lose on Friday and both of their picks move up. They still have a chance of getting 2 top 4 picks, or having their pick move up into the top 4 and keeping 8 or 9 or whatever the Lakers pick ends up being in that scenario. So they could end up with our dream scenario of having like 2 and 9, which we were thinking of like last few months, after that trade. And there's still a possibility where they can come out like rosy any way you look at it, and we could get screwed. Yeah. And the worst part about this is if they move up, or the Lakers pick moves up, or the Kings move up or whatever, and we fall down to 8, and we don't get their pick because they win on Friday, and we end up trading the number 8 pick for like a Jeremy Grant or something because we moved down instead of up. Like, there is a scenario playing out where we could be talking from talking all this time about having 2 lottery picks to having just Jeremy Grant out of all this. And that's just ridiculous, in my opinion, that's even a possibility at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to worry about Portland's pick in this whole process. Still a legitimate chance that could move up. But, yeah, I mean, even if we get this New Orleans Pelicans pick, it's still a bad situation in which Cronin didn't mitigate risk like he should have. If you were trading Norman Powell for Josh Hart in this first round pick, I would be like, okay, I understand why you couldn't mitigate this risk at all, because this would be a fleecing if we got Josh Hart and a lottery pick. So if it doesn't convey, that sucks. But, Josh Hart and Milwaukee first for Norman Powell, I'd still even take that. So, I'd be sitting there saying, oh, well, we have a chance to fleece them. And if not, we still had a fine trade, right? Mm-hmm. But you're talking about a legitimate freaking star. I love Josh Hart. This has nothing to do with me not liking Josh Hart. Me and you were on the Josh Hart bandwagon before anybody in this fan base. It was like back in January or even December, I forget. We were talking about the type of personalities we need on this team, and we identified Josh Hart as one of the types of personalities we need on this team, let alone like the things he could do on the basketball court from a talent standpoint. Like, he's a legitimate, like, one of the top tier role players in the league. But that's the thing, he's a role player. He's not a star. Sure, he looked like a star at stretches for a tanking Portland team, but the whole point is anybody can look like a star if they're playing for a tanking team that they can to get a bunch of shots and looks on. Why do you think Jeremy Grant went from looking like a role player to looking like a star in Detroit? Why do people think we don't want Jeremy Grant? Because if he's here in Portland, he's a role player, so you don't give up star value for him. So that's the thing with Josh Hart, is he's a top tier role player. He's not the guy that you would want to have as a top 3 option on a team trying to contend. He's the guy you have as the first guy off the bench for a team trying to contend. CJ McCollum could be the second option on a team that wins a championship. He is that good offensively, and he has been that good since going to New Orleans. I think Philadelphia would be better off if they had traded for him instead of James Harden. Because he's played better in his new spot than I think James Harden has played in Philadelphia. That's a completely another argument, but Philadelphia could have gotten back more value. If CJ McCollum was there in Philadelphia, they could win a championship with CJ McCollum being the lead guard, being the second option next to Embiid. That would have been a perfect fit for him as well. So that it's a difference in value that's not made up by a future likely late first round pick. The difference in value between Josh Hart and CJ McCollum is much more than that. And I keep forgetting, like in this calculation, that we also gave up a guy who we traded a first-round pick for in the trade as well. Mm-hmm. We also gave up Larry Nance Jr. So it's just, it's not looking like a good trade. I understand the logic in, trying to get a lottery pick. It's just Cronin should have mitigated risk more. And even if we get this pick, it's still not a good look, because he didn't mitigate the risk enough. He didn't negotiate the deal well enough. And that's the two trades he's made, the two big trades he's made, he failed to negotiate properly. He did not get good value back. And that has me nervous as we head into the offseason.
Yep. And, look at it this way, too. Like, the Cavaliers gave up a first and I think 2 seconds to get Karis LeVert.
Mm-hmm.
And now that pick, it was lottery protected, which is about what it should have been, right? But it goes over into next year. And, I was one of the people saying that could not convey this year when that happened, because I kind of foresaw that. I couldn't see the injuries, of course, but I saw a scenario where they didn't hang around in the top 6 and possibly lost the play-in, and that's still yet to be determined. So they could still not owe their pick to Indiana, but it just conveys over to the next year same terms, right? So it's not a big loss for them. And we're talking about Karis LeVert, not CJ McCollum. CJ is way better than Karis LeVert. So Karis is more valued like Norman Powell, in my opinion. So we could have gotten a first-round pick like that. I know for a fact that several teams would have given us a lottery-protected first for Norm and an expiring contract, including Cleveland. So like it's just weird that we're sitting here with like so many, with all the picks the Pelicans have. Like they have so many picks. Like it would not have screwed them at all to give up any one of those picks, right? That are better than the compensation we could possibly get. And I just don't understand why we accepted that. And if that was, oh, this is our final offer, then you say, oh, sorry, we're going to trade CJ elsewhere. I know we talked about it and CJ really wants to come there, but you obviously don't want him bad enough. And that's how you negotiate. You don't just be like, well, they said they weren't going to do it if we didn't accept this offer. It's like, oh, well, then tell them to go pound sand, because that's horrible.
Yep. Absolutely agree. So yeah, let's just look at some of the stats for this game. CJ McCollum, as I said, 32, 7, and 6. Brandon Ingram also had a solid game, 11 for 19 from the field, 27 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. You can see the way this game went when you look at the Pelicans' top two offensive options, and you look at the Spurs' top 2 offensive options. Keldon Johnson and DeJounte Murray are the Spurs' top 2 offensive options, and they combined to go 11 for 29 from the field and 1 for 10 from 3. The 1 3 they made was at the end of the game when it was already over. So those two guys absolutely did not step up for the Spurs. Devin Vassell had a good game. He was 7 for 13 from 3, 7 for 15 from the field, only made 3s, had 23 points. And then Pirtle offensively was solid. Lonnie Walker had 12 off the bench. They just didn't have their top 2 offensive options were not enough to keep them in this game, to keep up with CJ and Ingram. Murray's value lies a lot in his passing, and he's a good rebounding guard, and he plays good, like phenomenal defense. But I was surprised that DeJounte Murray didn't guard CJ McCollum more. It felt like DeJounte Murray barely guarded him in this game. Maybe I'm recalling it wrong.
He got in foul trouble early, and they kind of took him off. And
Oh yeah, he
so
had foul
was
trouble.
yeah.
4 fouls. Yeah. But he still played 34 minutes though. So I felt like he should have been matched up against CJ McCollum on every chance they got. Instead, it was some Josh Richardson, and CJ had his way with him. Josh Richardson's a solid defender, but I believe he's become overrated. So you're just looking at a Spurs team, man, where they let CJ McCollum go off. DeJounte Murray, I thought, should have guarded him more. Maybe they hit him because they didn't want him to pick up more fouls, but you can't just let the dude keep going off like that in the first half. Jakob Poeltl, solid offensive game, but Jonas Valanciunas lit him up. Valanciunas had 22 points and 14 rebounds, so that's basically how the game went for the Spurs.
Man, we need... yeah, CJ had a brilliant first half.
27 points in the first half.
The second quarter, I think he had 19 in the second quarter.
Not a star, though.
I think he missed a shot in that quarter. And in the second half, he didn't score much, but he had some really nice passes, especially in the third quarter. Just really solid game for him. And, I mean, it sucks, too, because, like, from a personal standpoint, it would have been nice to be able to root for CJ in this game and not have to like worry about him killing our franchise, you know. But I wanted to. It was cool seeing him go off and pumping up the crowd and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm like, no, please not tonight, CJ. Come on.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, yeah. Basically, my whole therapy while he was going off was just to give all the people crap for their CJ narratives. That was you know, I was tweeting out, he's a negative asset. Do you think the Pelicans think he's a negative freaking asset? He was never a bad contract. He was never a negative asset. The dude is like, I just don't understand why people felt the need to downplay how good CJ McCollum was. It's like Neil Olshey was tied to him, so people's way of combating that was just to say that he's not valuable, that he's not as good as he is. But we all saw it, dude, and it's like, you had people that nitpicked the hell out of CJ McCollum's game. Nitpicked the hell out of his game. And it's to the point where you would think that Blazer fans thought he was, you know, like, shouldn't be starting. And some people said he shouldn't be starting. He shouldn't be a starting player. I understand the fit issues, but whenever you got a dude that good, you'd start him. Like, you play him 36 minutes a game. The dude is supremely talented offensively as a basketball player in this league. I mean, wouldn't you love... Right now we need forwards. The Pelicans needed guards. What would you give up for a forward that averages 25 and 5 assists on efficient shooting? Right? Like,
well, it's like
that's Jaylen Brown. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, Jaylen Brown's younger, so he has a little bit more value, but you think we can trade Josh Hart and the Milwaukee 2025 first for Jaylen Brown and like Grant Williams? Hell no. So that's the package that we got back for CJ and Nance, man. And it's just if the Pelicans win this Friday game, and God, I'm so nervous. The Clippers better not freaking choke.
Well, you already know, mentions this in chat. Good point. CJ has not had good games against the Clippers this year. So I guess that's our silver lining, is maybe they can shut him down. But again, it's the fact that we're put in this position to make sure we have a chance of trading, you know, CJ and have it be a disaster, and it's still a chance of that happening. And he has the power to make it that way. It's just kind of funny. But yeah, to your point about CJ, so I just want to make one thing clear, because I think you'll agree with me on this. Tori and I have never been against trading CJ, right? But at the same time, it's like people acted like we had to get rid of him and we had to trade him no matter what, Shervin. But no,
yeah.
But no, not just Shervin. I tease Shervin, but like, you know, there's a good portion of the fan base for years that are now saying, I mean, I heard some radio programs just a few days ago talk about how fans should have revolted and not refused to attend games for the last 4 years until CJ McCollum was not on the team anymore. And it's
Who
like,
the hell? You got to say who the hell said that, because that's
yeah,
blasphemous.
yeah, I'm not gonna give a name, but
1080.
it was on 1080. Yeah,
Of course it was.
yep.
That's good old media in freaking Portland for you.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been people all over Portland. I mean, on every station that have wanted CJ gone or thought he was the problem. But yes, we agree we should have traded CJ at the deadline, right? The minute Ant broke out, I was the first one on here saying CJ and Norm have to go, right? We have to trade them at the deadline. We have to open up this spot for Ant, and we have to get value for them. But like the problem is we didn't get value for any of them, and we're in a situation where yes, we had to trade them, but we didn't have to accept a bad trade or a trade that was contingent on certain things happening for it to work out. Like, I agree with you that CJ is better than that, and his contract is not that bad in comparison to a lot of other contracts in the league. Tobias Harris, and wait till some of the guys this summer, like Miles Bridges has a nice year, but when he's paid like $35 million a year, and DeAndre Ayton's making like $35-40 million a year, those contracts are not going to be super well thought of. So it's not really a case in my mind that we should have kept CJ, and I don't think that's what you're saying either. It's just that we knew, I think almost everyone who knows basketball knows that if CJ was on his own team this whole time, he would have been putting up or doing things like this, and probably would be an all-star like you mentioned. And it's just a case of we didn't have to just give that away for nothing. And yes, there's a difference between wanting to keep him and not wanting to trade him in a bad trade. And I think that's where the disconnect is with some people, because I feel like some people went on social media and were still saying like, whatever happens, it doesn't matter because CJ had to go or whatever. It's like,
well, they just repeat what they hear, and that's why I get so freaking pissed off by some of the stuff that local Portland sports media has to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's BS. I can't get over that. Fans should have boycotted games for 4 years because CJ McCollum was on the team. But then 1080, I don't know if it's a different show or whatever, right? Because I don't listen to them for a freaking reason. Some show on 1080 at the same time is sitting there saying Josh Hart and a first round lottery pick would be a underpay for Jeremy Grant. And then you have these fans that just listen to them and trust them because they're in a position where they're sports media. So they trust that, okay, these guys really know what the hell they're talking about. And then I'll have a conversation with them, and I have people just repeating ad nauseum the crap that they hear on the radio, which is complete BS. Okay? 1080... I've heard so much crap from them that makes zero sense, and it drives me crazy. I think people need to stop listening to that station, man.
Well,
it's like them. I can't stand that radio station because of all the crap I have to hear from them.
Okay, my favorite radio program of all time is on 1080, and that's prime time, and that's the only thing I listen to on 1080. But I love that show, but when they talk basketball, it's cringe because none of them really care that much about basketball, and none of them really know like players that well or rosters or coaches or something like that.
Do, huh?
Yeah, right. Well, it's like a name thing. So like, a big name gets dropped like a Jeremy Grant, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Jeremy Grant's the answer, without really knowing. And I don't really blame them for that. But yeah, I still listen to it because it's entertaining, and I'll always be supportive of that particular primetime show, but yeah, it's almost to the point where I just want to skip through when they talk about basketball anymore, because yeah, it's hard to listen to sometimes.
Why doesn't that station just shell out money to people that know about basketball when they're in freaking Portland? It's a Portland-based station, correct?
Well, like I said, that particular show doesn't really care. They don't pretend to know or act like they know, but then
yeah, I mean, I like Chad Doing. I like Travis Demers. I like, but those guys like know basketball more than other media, and I will vehemently agree with like some of their opinions. Like I think some of Chad's opinions are ridiculous, but I think he's extremely entertaining even when I disagree with him. So I've actually tried to take some things from what he does, his presence on air, and pick up on certain things. So like I understand that. It's just frustrating for me to have people that like will just listen to certain guys that don't know what they're talking about, but are really good at pretending like they know what they're talking about. So it gives people that listen to them confidence that if they just repeat what they say, and it's more of a subconscious thing, but if they just repeat what they're hearing from them, they're right. And then they'll come and I'll have a conversation with people, and they're just so freaking confident that what they're saying is true, but all they're saying is surface level stuff. And if it ever becomes a conversation that goes in depth on anything, it never is a fun conversation to have. Like, it is always just a bunch of crap. Like, I get so tired of that, man, and it's frustrating because it results in me sitting here. I have to somehow educate someone that no, Josh Hart and a first round lottery pick is not a good trade for Jeremy Grant. And I have to sit here and like basically refute this stuff time and time again just because you have these people that just say crap just to say crap, it seems like. So the fans should have boycotted the Blazers for 4 years because CJ McCollum was on the team is just like an example of that type of crap, man. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, so here's the problem. It's been less frequent because of, the tanking, and so it's understandable they haven't had this guy on, but primetime, they get their information from Jason Quick. And I just want to go on a side tangent real quick.
Let's do it.
Jason Quick, great writer when it comes to like behind the scenes stories, personal stories, things like that. But man, when it comes to like trades or like talent evaluation or the CBA or anything like that, it's just cringe, man. It's so bad. And his last article was just littered with misinformation, and like unfortunately he has his DMs off. I don't want to like call him out like in public or whatever and have all these people like shame me for it, but like he had all these like wrong things about our cap situation, and then people don't understand that if the whole thing centered around, we're hoping for a top 4 pick, right? But people don't realize if we have a top 4 pick, that's somewhere between like $7 and $10 million that contract's going to be, right?
Yep.
And that goes against the cap. So we don't have, like, even if you made room for $30 million in salary, that including cutting or renouncing the rights to a bunch of your free agents, you still have like 10 million less if we get the number 1 pick, because that's going to go to Chet or Jabari or whoever. And so like people don't realize that when they're making articles. So they're talking about how we have the 30 million in cap space. We're going to have at least 1 draft pick, maybe 2. And then we're going to have all these trade exceptions as well, which he also said were in addition to having the 30 million, which isn't true either. So it's like, dude, man, just like, is there not someone at The Athletic that can read your story that's like a CBA guy or something? Or can you not bother to like take some time to learn these things before you write about them? It drives me crazy, man.
See, it just doesn't matter to Quick to know that type of stuff, and it doesn't matter to the Athletic. If they get their clicks, they get their clicks. They're more concerned with putting out an article that's enjoyable to read, so you'll subscribe. It doesn't have to be factually correct, right? But that's the thing is, shoot, I wanted to know, even before I started doing YouTube, I wanted to know how things work, right? But it's like, I care about educating the common fan. Like, that matters to me. That matters to me. And it's not that I'm somebody that knows everything. I'm wrong all the time. But I will always try and provide a basketball basis for all my opinions based on things that happen on the floor, things that I feel like I can tell because of, my experience studying the game, even playing the game. It helps you see some things that maybe other people won't see. And I try and, for anybody who hasn't played the game or anybody who has, I try and portray that in a way that makes sense to everyone. And I try and break it down like that. But then when it comes to the CBA, I've freaking studied the CBA. You've studied the CBA. Like, we've spent hours arguing about very arbitrary things that nobody cares about in the CBA and trying to figure out what the actual ruling on it is. I've gone and downloaded the CBA, the actual one that, was signed, and gone through subsections and tried to search up stuff. And it's for my own knowledge, but it's also so I can help educate people, because I don't want people going in thinking that, we can use $30 million of cap space, as well as get a top 4 pick, as well as use our trade exceptions, as well as, all sorts of stuff. And then in the offseason, when, none of that happens because it doesn't actually work like that, they're either disappointed or they pivot to excuses as, it takes 2 teams to make a trade, and, players don't want to sign here. And, yeah, it was Olshey that left us in a bad spot, and you know what I mean? It's nothing that's actually real. It's a situation where a bunch of misinformation gives people such a wrong view on the situation, and then me and Eric, it's we'll have conversations with these people, or these people will come in our chat, or they'll watch us, and they don't understand why we're so frustrated at Cronin for the CJ trade, because, it doesn't matter. We saved money, we got a huge trade exception, and we have all this cap space, but you can't use both of them. So it's basically a long-winded way of saying it. Just when misinformation like that happens, it ends up just being frustrating. It ends up being frustrating that I know what is real and what isn't, and I know my stuff. Yeah. And when there's people with even bigger platforms than me misinforming people, dude, it frustrates me to no end, because I care about informing people, and you have all these people that are misinforming.
Yeah, and the hard part is, I've actually read the CBA. It's incredibly boring. I don't know why I do that, but I'm a nerd, right? And yeah. You read through the CBA FAQ.com page, and I don't know how many times I've read that. It's probably 50 or 60 times, and I still get stuff wrong. So I can't imagine someone who doesn't care about it, how wrong they are about this stuff all the time. And the problem is he's one of the biggest reporters for the Blazers, right? So if he's wrong on it, then people are going to be misinformed. And then, like I said, this radio station gets all their information from him. That's the only person they talk to about the Blazers. So anything he says, they're going to believe, right? So then they just, for weeks after he says it, think that's true or whatever. And it's just really frustrating. And, I don't want to self-promote or stuff or anything, but I feel if some of these reporters just took the time to watch my cap space video, or just the stream where we're trying to explain a trade from a financial side, our trade deadline stream, we talk about not only the talent involved in the trade and the assets, but what it does for their cap moving forward and things like that, that a lot of media don't think about. So it just gets really frustrating when you see places like that rely on people like that for information who could care or couldn't care less about finding out the actual answers. And I always go back to the Scal trade with Jason Quick, and he went on that program the afternoon after the Scal trade.
Yeah, we traded Scal but didn't get under the tax.
Yeah. And they flat out asked him, so does this trade avoid Portland being in the luxury tax this year? And he's like, I don't know. It is how do you not know that? You should have, the minute that trade was announced, that was you can go back and look at our reaction. We were like, why would we do that? It doesn't even get us under the tax.
It's we're $4 million over the tax, and Scal's making less than $2 million a year, so trading him for nothing Do simple math. $4 million over the tax. We take away, I don't know, $2 million of salary. We're still $2 million over the tax. Like, it's not hard. Like, know your players' contracts. If you do it as a living, it shouldn't be hard. Me and Eric can do it. You work a separate job. I work a separate job. Like, and we still know this stuff. You know what I mean? It's not hard if it's your freaking job that you get paid to do to know this type of stuff. So yeah, I mean, the fact that he didn't know on that day was wild to me. Go ahead.
I've had a couple like writers that used to contact me before they published an article like, hey, I just wanted to run this by you. Is this correct or whatever? So they got information. And at the time, it wasn't people that I was necessarily super fond of or anything, but I like helped them out, and we got a good relationship out of it. And that's so, like, if anyone ever talks to Quick, like, I am more than happy to read an article of his and let him know, or if he has any questions about the CBA, or if he actually cares to learn, I will help him out. He can ask me any question anytime. Like, I'm always on Twitter pretty much. So,
but I guarantee you,
those guys would take that as an insult if you ever even offered it,
Yeah, because they view us as below them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I get it, I guess, but we know our stuff. We absolutely know our stuff. And we've started to get more respect. Like Chad and Travis, I think they respect what we do, but there's a lot of people out there in the media that don't respect what we do. What we know, like, and that's fine. But it's just, in the end, basically, we gotta keep growing Blazers Uprise is what we gotta keep doing. Like, that's what needs to happen. So we're gonna continue to try and grow this platform. It's hard. It's harder to grow right now than it was, maybe a year or two ago, because we've filled out the YouTube niche. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm trying to do daily uploads this off season to help the channel grow, to give, and to give people content that they enjoy. Everything is geared towards people enjoying what we do, as well as informing them, win-win scenario there. But then that's why I want to grow the channel, because I'm tired of misinformation with the fan base, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start it anyway, is because I was tired of listening to media that didn't know what they were talking about, and I wanted to provide people with a source that knew the CBA, that knew those sort of things, So, some people know it better than others, and, it's just like, it gets frustrating with all the misinformation. So, anyway.
Yeah.
That's my rant on that.
Yeah. So after the last couple of days, I definitely want to do some sort of series where I teach different parts of the CBA or something, or I don't know, get like a private live stream for people who are interested or something, and just like talk about CBA stuff or whatever. Like, do something to help people learn it better. So I definitely want to do that maybe this off season.
Yeah. Absolutely. But
it's good.
Let's get to the donos. I've been letting these donos sit here for a while. Shout out Antonio. Thank you, Antonio, for the $4.99 donation. He says, I think maybe Cronin made these lopsided trades as favors to agents who seem to have a lot of power in the league. If that's the case, then he should be fired, because you don't have to get screwed on trades for agents' sake. And if you're getting screwed on trades to do a favor for an agent, then that's a major L.
Well, I mean, there are moves that are made as favors to agents,
but they're never of that magnitude.
You have to have it pan out, though. You can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to do this to you, and then hopefully someday you'll return the favor or whatever. But it's like, so if there's maybe they have a particular free agent that they wouldn't have gotten an interview with if they didn't help Norman Powell get to a destination he wanted to go to or something, and they end up signing that person. So maybe that pans out, but you can't, it still doesn't mean you couldn't have gotten like a first round pick or something, or better compensation for the trade for trading in there. Same with the New Orleans to CJ pick, right? Or trade. So whether it was a favor or not, he still got screwed. And we talked about this before, but they could have found a way to possibly make the trade exception that they got even bigger had they combined those two trades. And it sounds like they knew about the the CJ trade for weeks that was the plan to trade him to New Orleans. So if that was the case, I don't know why you wouldn't have, when that Clippers trade came available, tried to make both of those trades together and found a way to get more of CJ's contract cleared in that trade to create an even bigger exception. So then you're sitting here with the possibility of maybe Jaylen Brown fitting into it, or someone making $25 million, or if you got CJ's full contract out of it, then you're in a position where possibly in a sign and trade or some sort of free agency move, you're looking at one of the off-season restricted free agents, like an Ayton or Miles Bridges. Maybe you give up a lottery pick for one of those guys, and you could sign them using the trade exception instead of having to create cap space somehow by waiving guys or renouncing rights or doing whatever. So could have been creative there as well, and I just feel like they weren't.
If we combined the trades, I'm pretty sure we would have gotten a $30.8 million traded player exception for CJ. If we just combined the trades and made them a part of one deal. But see, like, me and you will see those things. I don't expect, the common fan to see those things, but like we'll see those things and get frustrated, and the common fan will just think like, oh well, he's just undoing Olshay's mistake,
right?
And then you'll have media people that say, well, CJ had a negative contract, so the fact that we got Josh Hart is a good trade. He had to undo Olshay's mistake, and now we have all this cap space. We have $60 million of cap space to use, and so they are like, they'll come in here and be like, why are you guys being so negative?
And that's not. We're not saying, like, even to get more out of either of those trades. I'm saying, even if you got the exact same packages back, you could have done them together. And both of those teams were getting good value on those trades. So they would have been, if you would have been like, hey, Clippers, can you just wait a day while we finalize this negotiation with the Pelicans, and then it works out better for us if we combine it into a 3-team trade. The Clippers aren't going to be like, no, this offer of Bledsoe and Winslow and a second-round pick is going to be off the table in a day. You better take it now. Like, they're not going to do that crap, and if they did it, screw them, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, see, like, I would love to get an interview with Cronin because we'd ask him that type of stuff, and you know what I mean? He'll never hear that question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless he did an interview with us. Like, you know... Why didn't you could have gotten imagine a media member during an interview after the trade deadline saying, you guys, if you just combine the trade you made with the Clippers and the trade you made with the Pelicans into one deal, you could have gotten a $30.8 million traded player exception instead of a $20.8 million traded player exception. Was there any reason why you didn't make both those deals as part of one trade? Like, something like that. If I heard that question, I'd give a standing ovation, bro.
Yeah. And the minute he said something, I'd be like, oh, wouldn't 30.8 million be more flexible than 20.8?
Yeah. Yep. So
I thought you cared about flexibility.
Yeah, and I mean, both teams still get the exact same trade, so why couldn't you? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So, shout out to Alvaro Bazan for a $5 dono. He says, am I crazy for making the case if drafting Duran and Sohan, if we keep the Pels pick, those two on D would be electric, underrated offensive upside also. I would not want to take Duran at 6 or 7. If we take a center with our first pick, I think that's not ideal. I understand the intrigue, but I think you got to go with somebody that plays more of a position of need that is of similar draft caliber as him. But Sohan, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, we can talk a little bit about draft.
Yeah. We missed Chris S. $5 donation.
Oh, shoot. Well. Sorry, Chris. Appreciate you, Chris. I'm so sorry.
He said, as of right now, Clippers are 5-point favorites for Friday. Time to get praying.
Yep.
Yeah, so
us, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. But, and Alvy and Antonio. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so... God, just gotta hope that the Clippers win.
Dude, I'm so nervous. I don't want to look at Tankathon. I'm not doing a Tankathon sim today. I don't want to look at that.
We gotta root for we gotta root for playoff P. We
gotta root for Norm, bruh. I don't want to root for freaking Norm, man.
We need a Norm masterclass.
Oh,
Where's that Rocco 43-point game when we need it?
Yeah. Now I won't complain about Chris being too hyped for Norm in the GC. Now I'll be hyped for Norm because rooting for us.
Isaiah Muhammad says, I like Sohan a lot with the Pels pick potentially, but I'm aware he's a project, which isn't exactly what we need. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Sohan's one of the more, I think, NBA ready lottery picks. Like, just, I think he plays good enough defense. I think he's a smart enough player that he could get minutes right away.
Yeah, he's just gonna be able to. He just gotta knock down
Rodney
threes.
Hood.
If he improves his shot in the offseason and can just hit threes at an okay clip, even like 32, 33%, then I think he's ready to play because he makes smart decisions with the ball. Can handle, can pass a little bit. If he can then knock down threes, decent size and agility, cutter, and then really good defensively, then he's Herb Jones 2.0. You know what I mean? Like I could see in Herb Jones, he was 2 for 4 tonight. He was a huge reason why the Pelicans won. Played great defensively, was efficient, played his role really, really well, and Sohan could be one of those guys right away.
Yeah. I think I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
But that's the same case for Dyson Daniels too. If Dyson Daniels can can knock down threes, and I don't think his shot is that bad either, then he's a guy that's could help a winning team next year because he defends and he play makes and he has size and he just has to be able to knock down shots. So you got a couple good defensive players in this draft that just need to be able to knock down threes to be really, really solid off the bat in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the thing for Sohan would be, I don't think his game is exactly like Batum's, but we saw Batum come in and he was thought of to be kind of a project, but he ends up starting right away and being a useful secondary ball handler. Yeah. And I think Chauncey, especially the second half of the season when you had a lot of people playing, he was constantly telling whoever grabbed the rebound to just go with it, and that's something that Sohan could come right in and do. I think he'd be a more hype version of Trendon Watford. Trendon didn't have the defensive potential in most people's mind that he showed this year. Whereas Sohan is thought of as potentially an elite defender down the road. You're basically getting a more talented version of Trendon Watford at that. Not trying not to slight Watford at all because he was great this year. Yeah. So that would
also
be
dropped a player review on him. So watch that after the stream if you haven't.
Yeah.
Spent way too long on the thumbnail, to be honest. I probably spent 2 hours on the thumbnail. That's why the video is a little late today. I tried way too hard with that thumbnail. But I think it's the best thumbnail I've ever made. I like it. Shout out to go ahead.
Oh, I was going to read that, so go ahead.
Hyperprime $2 dono. He says chances of media passes and rookie interview. Maybe without Olshey now, but I don't know. What were you going to say?
I don't know. That room seems pretty.
Exclusive.
There's some exceptions, but it's a pretty stuffy room. I'll just say that.
What does that mean?
I don't think they would welcome people like us in there. So
what knowledgeable fans?
They have. Well, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, we're kind of thought of by all those people as. Let's just put it as edgy, and they don't like edgy in there. They like
the only reason that's the case is because we came in not liking Stotts and got crapped on for it and didn't take kindly to that, so we're edgy. Is basically what happened.
Yep. I don't think there's any chance of that. So a rookie interview. So honestly, I've tried to hit up, when we draft a player, if their DMs are open, I'll try. Yeah. I'll give it a shot. What does it hurt, or we made a trade for, Larry Nance or whatever. I'll DM him, never really hear back. So I'll just keep trying. All it takes is one person to ever come on here, but unfortunately, we just don't have the backing of other places or the connections since we started from scratch and don't have any inside way to get interviews with players or anything like that. So, yeah, that's just the unfortunate part of it. And but hopefully someday someone sees something that we or notices us and wants to come on. That'd be cool. I'll keep trying.
Yeah,
I'd really like to have Anisha Curry on. When she first got hired, I DM'd her about like a video I saw of her talking about how she didn't like pick and roll being run until you're like advanced high school level, because it just teaches the other three players to stand around and watch the two best players on the team a lot. Yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to like discuss that with her. But yeah, unfortunately, most of those people probably just goes to their unseen messages and they never open it. But you never know. Maybe someday.
If we draft Banchero, there's a chance. More of a chance. If we draft Banchero, there's more of a chance we could get an interview with him than Jabari or Chet, or really anybody else in the lottery. And if we draft Jovic, there's a chance those two guys. So hopefully we get one of them. I guess I'd take Banchero. Give me a top 3 pick. Give me the 3rd pick. I'll take Banchero. Banchero might go number 1 though. It's still very up in the air with those 3 guys.
Dro's gonna get a Nurk on the show.
What?
he might have a connection.
Oh well, I have a connection too, but I mean, the Nurk would be cool, but it's like you got to clear it with for players on the team. It's like you got to clear it or something. I don't know if it's the same protocol as it was under Olshey, but yeah. Anyway.
You asked, would you guys ever bring on a guest to discuss the state of the Blazers? Would any local Blazers writers be interested?
I mean, we brought on Stephen Vaughn before, and I bring on Stephen Vaughn again. I got to get this mic to him, this extra mic I have. I said I would give him this mic.
He's one of the guys saying tonight that the CJ trade was still good, no matter.
Yeah, I very heavily disagree with what with that take.
Yeah,
but I mean, he played college ball. He knows basketball. As far as like personnel moves, I disagree with him a lot, but he's very respectful about it. So that's the thing. Is like if I'm okay with people disagreeing as long as they're respectful and as long as they're not like blatantly misinforming people about stuff that's like a fact-based thing, you know what I mean? Or like very clear-cut and dried, not true. So that's the thing. Like I like Steven a lot. Steven's a cool guy.
Yeah, most of the other writers, unfortunately, that's where the connections come into play, and that's why the other guys have a built-in advantage that they don't take advantage, or I don't know how advantageous it is since they don't do very well, but they have access to a lot of people that we don't. So
yep, they have access to people, they have access to radio, they have access to Blazers Edge, they have access to everything.
No, that's not a complaint, by the way. It's just like
it's just true. But, you know what I mean?
I mean, honestly,
I would love to have that type of,
yes,
connections, but I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to, like, have certain opinions or, like, kiss anybody's ass or, you know what I mean? I'm not going to do things for those connections that are out of character. I'm just going to be myself, and if they happen, they happen.
Like, this isn't, like, it's going to sound really mean. So I'll just say it. Like, they had Sean Highkin on the other day.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck are we going to talk to Sean Highkin about, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
dude, like, literally made up crap all summer, to make stories so he'd get attention. And then is, like, not knowledgeable about basketball at all. He freaking did a, top 50 under 25 players or something for Bleacher Report and had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander below Taylor Horton-Tucker for Pete's sake. Like,
basically he spends time on Twitter.
Yeah, like I don't
him off that.
I don't know what good stuff like that would be, but I mean,
And I
Hurd,
guarantee you he doesn't like us because we've been very critical of
Yeah.
him, just like we are being right now, which makes I would understand why he doesn't like us.
Hurd would be awesome, but once again, I think he's probably not going to come on this kind of show.
Yeah, I don't think he knows who we are.
Yeah.
To be
No,
honest,
which is fine. Like, yeah,
but
I mean, I don't think a lot of those people do, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But see, Hurt's cool because like we could.
talk ball.
I love him like break. He's had a few times this year. It hasn't been super frequent, but where he actually like showed plays like he was doing film or something and broke it down. It was super interesting. But so yeah, I'd love to talk to him about that kind of stuff. And go in depth on like certain sets that they run or like why they do different defensive schemes. And I feel like if we ever got a guy like that on here, that he'd probably be a lot more comfortable like being honest than he can be on his like during the game, you know. I kind of laughed being someone who pretty much watched every minute of the Blazers this year, no matter how hard it was. That I found it funny how like how many different ways him and Calabro came up to like try and sugarcoat things, but like you could tell they were joking about it or like being sarcastic, but they were also like had to say it that way and but try not to laugh and stuff like that. So that was always funny to me. So like I feel like if we got him down, like why would they run, you know, last year, why do we continue to run a 2-3 zone on baseline inbounds plays, you know, stuff like that would be awesome to talk to him about. But like yeah, that kind of stuff, I don't know, maybe someday.
Yeah, it's just like literally all you have to do against the 2-3 zone baseline inbounds is put 2 guys in the corners and 2 guys on the blocks. Because it's like that's the thing, a guy on the block, you have to be on the inside of him.
Yeah.
So one of the outside guys in the bottom of the 2-3 zone is going to be inside a player on the block. Is going to be like on the inside of, unless you drop one of the guys down from the top. You know what I mean? It's just like it's too easy to just set things up to kind of pick that apart. You could set up a zone play. Like that's the thing, is teams know it's coming if we do it every freaking time too. So that never made any sense. I couldn't stand running a baseline or a 2-3 zone on every single baseline inbounds play.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about Weezy brings up that we almost had God, why am I blanking on his name? The former Atlanta Hawks coach. That's now who's he an assistant with?
I forget. Lloyd Pierce though.
Lloyd Pierce, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Reese was actually DMing with Lloyd Pierce. Because there was that time where someone leaked a DM with Lloyd Pierce, and Reese actually was talking to him about basketball and was going to get him on the show, but then someone leaked Reese's DMs out of a group chat, and then he got all like pissy with Reese, and yeah, so that was going to be funny, but yeah.
Was that who it was, Zach? Of course that was who
yeah.
who it was.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Now I don't think the group chat would leak anything.
No, I don't.
We got a pretty good group chat now. But yeah, that was eventful. Anyway, you want to look at picks against the spread standings?
Sure.
This is the final picks against the spread standings. So, in case you didn't know, I came back and tied chat on the final day of picks against the spread. This is, of course, the first stream we've had on Blazers Uprise Live.
I didn't get back to 500, but I came back to tie Connor.
Yeah, you tied Connor. You and Connor should do a tiebreaker. So I couldn't find the stream. I looked through multiple streams. I can actually see the transcript from multiple streams. So I was like doing control find and looking for the word tie in multiple streams, and I couldn't find anything if we ever set a tiebreaker. I swear I said something like, if there's a tie, it should be whoever picked the highest percentage of games.
I only remember like 2 or 3 months into the season, you trying to claim that if we just got rid of double downs and went by pick percentage, that you would be winning or something. But I don't remember ever talking about a tiebreaker.
No, yeah, I remember doing that. But I remember a conversation. I think you said or I think somebody
I don't know if it was you or chat or somebody said we should do tiebreaker based on double downs, and I said no, we should do it the other way. It should just be whoever picked the highest percentage of games. Next year, that's what we're gonna do, so we don't have this fiasco, because it's unlikely that you have a tied record and tie in terms of double downs. It's just gonna be whoever picks the highest percentage of games. That's what made the most sense to me. But since I can't find where I stated it on the record, we have to do some sort of tiebreaker scenario. So I did a Twitter poll for the Hawks game. I didn't want to bet on the Pelicans game because obviously we have a vested interest in the Pelicans game. Chat chose Hawks. I chose Hawks. Okay, so that didn't break the tie. I like doing it based off chat poll, though. You know what I mean? So one option we could do, we're going to fill out playoff brackets on Friday, and chat will fill one out. We did this last year. We'll have chat fill one out. We could come up with some sort of scoring system for that, and whoever has the most accurate playoff bracket, that could break the tie. Of course, that would take, a couple months. Or we could try picking the Hawks-Cavs game on Friday. What do you want to do for the tiebreaker, chat? What do you think, Eric?
I think obviously if we chose double downs as the thing, chat wins. If we chose win percentage, you win. So I don't think it's fair to choose either of those. But yeah, I think we could just go game by game. And then if Friday doesn't work out, if you guys both pick the same thing, then we could just go into the game Saturday or something. You guys can pick the 4-game Saturday or just against the spread. I think that's easier than doing a whole playoff bracket based upon. Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna do playoff brackets anyway.
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying have that be a separate.
I say because I don't like doing it on Twitter either. I say Friday night we shouldn't bet the Hawks, the playing game, the Eastern Conference playoff game. I say Friday night we should, me and chat, pick the 4 games that are Saturday. And it'll be this chat, this community, Blazers Uprise Live, not just Twitter. And we'll pick the 4 games on that day. And then we can pick one to double down on. And that should probably break the tie. Does that sound good to you, Eric? Does that sound reasonable?
I'm sorry, the 4 games on Saturday?
Yeah, just on Friday night. So that's this chat, because we're going to have a stream on Friday night.
Yep, sounds good.
We'll do that. Cool. All right. So we'll do that to start that stream. Obviously, that'll also be a post-game stream for the playing game, so that'll be a pretty long stream, probably 2-hour stream there. Maybe 2.5 hours. The stream last year, picking playoff brackets, was 2.5 hours last year, so maybe, because any mods that want to participate, you can pick a bracket as well. But XCDev says Wheat can't take the L. I picked a higher percentage of games than you correctly. I picked more games correctly than you, and we tied because you guys picked more double downs.
But your most confident picks were worse.
That makes it okay. So a smaller subset of picks was worse compared to the entire thing of picks, which was better for me.
Okay.
So I think it should be pick percentage. That's what I'm saying next year. And I said that in the middle of the season that I think it should be pick percentage, but XC Dep, can you do simple math, bro? Subtract the double down record from the overall record. And then calculate the win percentage off that. I mean, we're going to do a tiebreaker for it, so there's no point in arguing. But don't say I can't take the L when I picked a higher percentage of games correctly than you guys did. In the end, it's still an overall tie, and that's what we're going off of, and we didn't set a tiebreaker. So we got to break the tie.
Bonnie says it's harder for a group of people to come to a consensus, so chat should win. I think it's the opposite, because you get 40, 50 votes to kind of group think it versus us just having to pick all of them on our own. So.
And you guys can go and look at things in regards to the team, how they're playing lately. Shoot, there's times where I'll forget who Eric said was injured, because while he's saying injuries, I'm typing the chat poll. So
like be focusing on typing in the chat poll, and I won't hear all the names, and you know what I mean. And I'm not going through and looking through that much during the stream. Before the stream, like, I gotta make the graphics. During the stream, I gotta plug everybody's picks in and look at chat for who's picking what. So I don't think it's easier to be chat, or I don't think it's harder to be chat and easier to be me. So
also, like, I don't know. I'm kind of a fan. I understand why you didn't want to do it this year, but I kind of like if you just had it as the 4 playing games, so on like Monday, we could, as a tiebreaker, you could pick the 4 playing games. I kind of like that too, because the playing games are like an extra like tiebreaker anyway. So that's kind of cool.
just because of
I understand. Like I said, I understand
vested in it. Yeah. So like if we're not heavily vested in it, then yeah. But if not, we can always put it.
Or you could just say you were both winners. Since there's nothing on the line, right? I mean, if there's something on the line, I understand needing to break it.
I mean, I was gonna put a crown in the graphics next year for whoever won. But I was also, when I thought of that, I was also thinking I was gonna win.
Oh man. So Bonnie says, but sometimes the team I wanted wasn't picked, and then Taylor Packer says, I have to deal with chat picking the teams I don't want though. That's funny.
Well, I'm sure they pick teams you don't want that end up being the right picks. So, because Jackson, you remember Jackson last year? He's like, I can't stand chat. They pick the wrong teams, and if they just pick the teams I want, we'd be winning or something like that. And I was like, okay, Jackson, we'll see how you do this year compared to chat. And he was doing better for a while, but he ended up 9 games behind him. So, like, chat came on strong to end the year. 20 games over 500 is pretty solid. I think chat finished like 4th last year. I found the graphics last year. I forget. I don't have them saved on my computer, but I found the stream from the last picks against, or no, the first picks against the spread stream this year. I showed the standings from last year, and you won last year, Eric. Yep. So,
both Madden Mobile and Taylor Packer claimed they would have been undefeated. It picked every game right this season, but chat messed them up.
Is there a prize for this? Pride. Yeah. Absolute pride, bro. I want to go into next year's stream saying, welcome back to Picks Against the Spread. I'm your defending champ, Torrey Jones.
There's no money, AJ, involved. This is for fun.
Yeah. Next year, we said this before this season, and we didn't, but next year we got to put something legitimate on the line.
For sure.
I could put 2 crowns on the graphic. All right, chat. Do you want to just accept the tie, or do you want to do a tiebreaker? All right.
Oh.
We can both have crowns, or it can be either one of us.
Also, real quick, while I'm thinking about it, Dro's going to be in town at the end of the month, and we're going to get together and play some hoops, probably outside somewhere. So if anyone's interested in playing basketball with us, just hit me up on Discord or Twitter, and I'll add you to the list of people to contact whenever we try to get some runs together. Or if you can't make it during those times, also, we could do we'll have them all summer. So, yeah. Carson's jealous now.
All right, chat. If you're voting for break the tie, you're voting for finishing second instead of tied for first, so... I mean, you gotta do it on a day I'm free, Dro. Is it gonna be on a weekend day?
I think he said like the 27th through the 30th, which is, I want to say like a Wednesday through Sunday or something like that. Wednesday through Saturday.
Try and do our first pickup run and run out of gym.
Okay.
I mean, I can look into that. And if you want to look into that, then we can just do like $5 for people who show up just to cover the rent of the gym or something. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll figure it out. I don't know. Too much to think about right now. It's the off season. It's not supposed to be that much thinking, but okay, another question. You guys want to break the tie. Apparently, you guys want to finish in second. So, I'll let this poll go on for another. There's 33 votes, 108 viewers. We'll see. If you guys don't want to break the tie, that's cool with me. So, but it's looking like you guys want to break the tie. This isn't soccer. It's not basketball either. It's not a sport we're picking based off numbers. This is more math. You're right, Eric. I don't play outside. I don't like playing outside. Oh, well, chat's brought it back up to 66%. Yep, and poll, we're breaking the tie. We'll pick games on Friday night for Saturday, and we'll see how that goes. And, yeah. So, what was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, the question I'm going to ask you now, chat, is for my upcoming mock draft videos, do you want me to simulate the lottery, or do you want me to just go based off lottery order? I'm going to type that in a chat poll, and you guys can answer. What do you think, Eric?
Like if you have two, one of each, I don't know.
I can't put out 2 mock draft videos.
I would just do it with the order right now. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll also chat, and if it's close, I'll probably just keep with the normal order, but...
It's going to be painful to pick for New Orleans at 2, and us only having one pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like the first one I have planned for. Well, it's the day. Let me see here. First mock draft I have planned for April 16th. So after we know if we get the Pelicans pick or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's Saturday. But I'll let you guys decide if I should simulate or not. Close vote. 57% say no. Anything else, Eric, for this stream? I'll let this poll play out.
Just trying to think of anything from the exit interview that we should talk about.
Yeah, there's nothing really stood out to me.
Let me just say for the record, Cronin's joke about the trade exception was not intended towards him. It was intended towards all the media, and people are making way too big at you.
Right, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's the thing they'll criticize him for.
Yeah.
Dro says, Tori, you must not be a shooter if you can't shoot outside. Dro, it is in your best interest. If we're actually going to play basketball against each other, it's in your best interest to just not say anything, okay? Okay.
Oh, man.
I'm just trying to help him out. All right, Zach, ask your question.
And anyone else that has questions, go ahead.
Yep. 59% say I should simulate it, down to 56%. Very even in this chat poll.
I did have one problem with with something Cronin said.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said from that point over the next few weeks he was finally going to have a chance to do a dive on the draft and then determine if he thinks some of his picks are worth more as selecting them or, trading the pick or whatever. It's like, shouldn't you already have done all that? Like, what were you working on from the trade deadline to now when you knew you were trying to tank?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, like, now you're going into super deep dives, but, like, you should already have the answers to most of those questions, and he made it sound like he was just going to start on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly, I didn't even... I listened to Cronin's, but, like, I forgot about 95% of the things he said. I just came away from it like, we don't know what the hell they're going to do. And they don't know what the hell they're going to do. We don't even know if we have the Pelicans pick, so I'm not going to overthink anything. Like, that was just my takeaway from all of it.
Yeah. He did say we're hiring a second international scout, which is good, I guess.
Why did we only have one before?
I don't know.
Maybe that's why we never drafted international. I feel like we never drafted international players under Olshey.
We got that Daniel Diaz guy or something.
Yeah, that guy didn't count. So Anyway, chat, 51% of the vote says yes. This didn't decide anything. As first, yeah, I'll go over my big board in a future stream. We'll have a big board article at some point soon, the next couple of weeks. But I have Chet number 1 now, Eric. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
I
I
mean,
haven't had him at 1 the whole time.
You always you always put him at 2 or 3, and then we talk about who you have 1, and then you talk yourself into liking Chet more than that person, or talk yourself out of that eventually. So I fully expect Chet to be there at number 1 when all said and done. That's not like a negative thing or anything like that. It's, it's totally acceptable to have Chet at 1. I just, like, you'll say, oh, here's my draft board. I have Jabari over Chet. But here's why I like Chet more. Like, this is why I would take Chet over Jabari. And then we talk, like, for an hour about how...
You're completely right. But I'm very even on him. I don't just have this complete man crush for any one of them, you know? So
right. But it's like, I feel like you're not giving Jabari enough, like, flack for his flaws. When, like, it's like, well, you had number... like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm not a Jabari stan. I'm not the leader of the Jabari stan club.
Hey man, I jumped on that early, so
you did. But tell me if I'm wrong. All right, so you are absolutely right that I do that. In regards to you and draft prospects, though, I feel like when you're on the bandwagon of them being better than, like, when you're on the bandwagon early, it tends to you favoring them more than I feel like you otherwise would when the draft time comes around, because you were on that bandwagon early, and I feel like it's that way with Jabari.
I'll counter that with one name: Johnny Davis. I haven't really been propping him up much lately.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's not always the case, but I feel like that's sometimes the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which I understand. Like, that's just like, oh, I was onto this guy. I think the same way, but with certain players, I feel like.
No, it's just, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example, but there has been players where I've liked, and you know how the last couple of years we've had to guess who's staying and stuff.
Yeah.
So, there's been players who end up getting drafted in one of those, but they go back to college or something, and then the next year I find my stance on them is completely different or whatever, whether it was good to bad or bad to good. Yeah, but also, the few people who I've done that with, like Obi Toppin and...
that was the name I was thinking of too.
And Jabari, it's like... I mean, yeah, Jabari had a bad game last game of the tournament, but he didn't really do anything in any of the games I watched of him to make me think negative of him, right? I mean, he has flaws and stuff, but the things I like about him are still there. They're still yeah, I got into it with someone today who said Jabari should go 7th to 10th at best or something like that, and that he's the next Anthony Bennett or whatever. It's
that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
see, that's the type of stuff I'll hear about Chet.
Right.
Yeah, both of those guys should go top 3, or at least bare minimum, both those guys should go top 4. Mm-hmm. If they I don't think either is falling below 4th, and nobody should have them below 4.
Right. But yeah, it always comes back to me 6'10" guys who can shoot like that. I just don't see them busting out and not being good. But but with Obi, I mean, it kind of sucked because that season got cut short with COVID and stuff. So didn't get to see him and that Dayton team to see if they might have been a number 1 seed that year. You probably know for sure.
They were borderline 1-2 seed.
Yeah, so it would have been cool to see if he could have carried that team. Plus, they had some kind of low-key underrated guard play on that team, so that would have been fun to watch them in the tournament. So we didn't get really that aspect of it, but I watched like every Dayton game that year. It was like, ridiculous. But yeah, I loved to watching him in college. But so I mean, those are the only two that I really stuck with the whole year and like never really changed my opinion on.
Yeah. I mean, normally there will be like somebody that I like late. Like after the season's over, I'll watch some footage and there will be somebody that I end up really liking. In 2019, that player has not panned out whatsoever, so I'm not even going to say who it was. In 2020. Nope, I'm never wrong, and I have to make the people think that, so it just didn't happen,
See, that's when you start getting taken seriously, or people stop taking you seriously.
It's a joke, so they shouldn't take me seriously because it's a joke. I had Kyra Lewis Jr. as a top 5 prospect in 2020, okay? Now will they take me seriously that because I said I had Kyra Lewis Jr. as a top 5 prospect in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, this goes for you and me and every single person who's a draft expert or thinks they are. There's not a single person that is better than like 60 to 65% hit rate on prospects and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
like it's complete and exact science. So,
but you learn from watching certain guys. Like I like Halliburton a lot. I like Tyrese Maxey a lot. Mm-hmm. Let's see. That was a weird draft, I feel like. I didn't like Cole Anthony. I had him 27. I had him below Josh Green and Jamias Ramsey I liked. He hasn't panned out. Mm-hmm. Emmanuel Quickley, I was high on him compared to his draft stock. And that's worked out. 2020, it was pretty clear-cut. And, like, I like Trey Murphy. I had him 11th. I like Kai Jones. I had him 9th. He could still pan out. I mean, very early on in his career. I like Trey Mann. I had him 13th. Most people had him in the 20s. Was too low on Josh Giddey. I was higher on Ayo Dosunmu than the consensus, and I was higher on Herb Jones than the consensus. So that was probably maybe my best draft. I was higher on Austin Reeves than the consensus. That was probably my most accurate draft. I didn't like Jaden Springer. He hasn't looked too good this year. Like that was probably my most accurate. What'd you say?
He's been hurt all year.
I'm just quoting Romp.
Yeah. I don't think Ayo was necessarily underrated. I think he just fell for some reason. And that happens
because of his age.
Same with Moody.
Yeah, he did fall. Yeah, that was actually pretty consensus. But
and we had the 2 years advance notice on him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's always interesting to go back and look at things. Trendon Watford, I had at 59. I should have had him higher, man. And I said I really found him intriguing before the draft. If you watch that draft or that player review, I included the clips I said about Trendon Watford before the draft and how I was intrigued by him. So I just thought he wouldn't be able to play any defense, and he has. So, and everything else is translated. But obviously NBA GMs didn't think he was draftable either, so anyway. Anything else for this stream, Eric? It looks like I'm going to simulate the lottery for mock drafts because that's what chat wants. 55% said yes. Or maybe I'll mix it up. I don't know.
Yep.
But anything else?
I watched 4 New Zealand Breakers games over the last 2 days.
Oh yeah, Usman Jang. I watched some. Like all play highlights of him. You said you didn't like his shot form.
He kind of. It's kind of similar to CJ Ellaby, where he brings it down low before he goes up, and then brings it across his body sometime.
Yeah.
So
I would say. Just from what I saw, his set point is more over to the side. CJ Ellaby will bring it up from the side, but his set point's over on the other side of his body. So it's from where he starts to his set point is a lot of lateral motion, where it seems like Jang kind of his set points on the other side of his body. So I actually think Jang's looks a little bit better, but go on.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if he had a cleaner shot form, I would have him probably as a late lottery pick. But yeah, he is intriguing with his ability to put on the floor and drive to the basket, finish. Like obviously his shooting numbers don't look good because he got off most of the year. He shot terribly, but like I don't think he's as bad of a shooter as those progressed, and he's picked up his playmaking.
And he's shifty. He's shifty with the ball. But you know who shoots on the other side? You know whose set point is on the other side of their head? That's a star. Do you know who I'm going to say?
Who?
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So it can work.
Durant's got such a high release point, though. Yeah. I mean, and obviously it could be cleaned up. But
there's just a lot of prospects where it's like if they can shoot, they'll be fine. But that's the thing. Like he to me feels a little bit like Giannis before he was drafted, because Giannis was only 6'9" then and was like skinny, but could handle the ball and was shifty with the ball and could play make a little bit and just didn't really shoot. And then Giannis grew and then became ripped and like was even more athletic. He's more athletic now than he was before the draft, and he became Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like that was kind of the type of player Giannis was before he was drafted.
Yeah. I don't see it
becoming Giannis.
Pure athleticism like that.
Yeah.
So
but like Giannis wasn't that type of athlete before the draft, was he?
I mean, he was thought of as a raw athlete. You know, like how some college recruits just get labeled as athlete without a position. Yeah. It was more like that, I think.
I just remember him being more smooth and like agile, like decent athleticism, but not anything like shocking. You know what I mean? But that's the thing is like when you're athletic at 7 foot, even if you have the same vertical, it's more impressive than if you're 6'9", because the taller you are, normally the less athletic you are. So I think it was partly just how much Giannis grew and maintained that athleticism. So,
but Hugo Besson's also on that team, so got to watch a lot of him too. So
isn't he 6'5"?
I think he's like 6'3". It's like Keon Johnson, you know. Yeah. He's 6'3", but listed as 6'5". I mean, he might be.
Is he the one? Is he the one that like his feet, like his right foot goes forward and his left foot goes back when he shoots? Or am I thinking of a different international prospect?
I don't think it was him. He kind of reminded me of I mean, not that he's going to be like as good as these players, but like kind of a mix of TJ McConnell and Bogdanovic. Just not quite as big as Bogdanovic.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like scrappy. Kind of had a similar like facial thing as TJ McConnell, so it kind of looked like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch a shot back because I want to see if this is who I'm thinking about. But yeah, international prospects are always fun. No, this isn't who I'm thinking about. Okay.
I tried to find if anyone has access to any of these. I was trying to find a game or just any game of Kamagate's to watch, but I couldn't find any on YouTube.
Yeah, I want to watch more Kamagate because I've seen a couple different clips and he seems like a fluid athlete, so it's always intriguing to see like just what those guys' skill level is or if they show flashes of skill. Because that's the thing, at that point in the draft, if you can get a big with good length and athleticism and then they show flashes of skill, you roll the dice on that, in my opinion. Because they should be able to be a decent defensive player. I mean, some guys are athletic and long, and it never pans out for them defensively from a mental aspect. Look at Myers Leonard, but it's hard to see that unless you watch a ton of footage. So for me, it's just looking at if they have good length and athleticism and show flashes of skill, that's a pretty solid bet in the early second round. Anyway, anything else that you want to...
I'll answer XC Depth's question, but I'm pretty sure he's asked this question on like 4 different occasions and we've answered it multiple times. But he asked, do we regret letting Collins walk? Did he have a good comeback or not with the Spurs?
I mean, he hasn't really had much of a comeback to really prove anything, so I wouldn't say he's had a good comeback yet, but, I mean, he looks strong, and he had a couple impressive moments tonight.
Yeah. I mean, if we could have gotten him for the same contract where it wasn't, we weren't really losing anything if we cut him after this year, and then knowing our cap situation being way under the cap after the trade deadline, obviously we wish we still had him.
Yeah, I mean, per 36, he averaged 16, 11, and 4 assists.
It's hard to project that at the beginning of the year. I mean, I understand why they didn't want to pay him $7 or $8 million. And if we offered him the qualifying offer, I think he probably takes it right away. So he would have been playing on a 1-year qualifying offer and been an unrestricted free agent this offseason.
He would be really good next to Watford.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he would.
Damn.
I mean, he's exactly a healthy Collins is exactly what this team has needed the last couple of years, in my opinion. Yeah. But unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. But I'd always be down to have him back for relatively cheap if he ever wanted to come back. Yep.
Yeah, like because he's partially guaranteed next year, I think they'll bring him back. But if they don't, for whatever reason, I mean, you go out there and you try and give him biannual exception money, a little over $4 million a year for a couple seasons, see if he wants to come back for that. And then, like, if you could also use the MLE on, like, I don't know, Jalen Smith, I would be intrigued by, like, Jalen Smith and Zach Collins pairing. That's a pretty big front court, but both guys can shoot. And
I don't expect the Spurs to cut him this offseason.
Yeah, I don't either. Absolutely not. But anyway, my food just got here. So,
all right, man.
Anything else that you want to talk about? We'll have all off-season streams to talk about draft and really dive deep on things.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for watching tonight. And next stream will be Friday night after the Pelicans hopefully lose to the Clippers, or
I'm so stressed.
We'll have a funeral for the Blazers franchise on Friday night. And
I will care more about that game than any Blazer game I cared about this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about, we got 2 lottery picks that we could draft 2 lottery prospects with. I want to talk about that. I want to have content around that, man. I'm going to be sick. Anyway, the Pelicans beat the Spurs tonight, unfortunately, so one game decides the Blazers' fate in terms of the pick that they get from New Orleans. If the New Orleans Pelicans beat the Los Angeles Clippers on Friday, the Blazers instead get a 2025 Milwaukee first-round pick. Yay. If the Clippers take care of business and don't choke at home, then the Blazers will get the Pelicans' first-round pick this year, assuming it doesn't jump into the top 4. Knock on wood.
Still have to survive that.
Yep, so we got to survive 2 different situations here. Very nerve-wracking indeed. Anyway, Eric, any final words, man?
No, thanks, everyone. Have a good night, and I'll catch maybe someone, and if anyone else wants to join us on Fortnite in a few minutes.
Is that what you're going to go do?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, I'll catch y'all later. Have a good rest of your night. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.